Hello, hello, hello. This is Michelle Renee, and you watching Education Nation. We are so late today, but that's because technology is so wonderful when it's not. There's been technology issues with StreamYard all day, and so it seems like now is resolved. So, what we're going to do is we're going to first just get started. See you all in a minute. Good afternoon. This is Michelle Renee, host of Education Nation. Today, we're going to talk about setting up a learning space. Whether your child is being homeschooled, they need a learning space. If they go to school and when they come home, they have homework, they need a learning space. We're going to talk about the mindset that is developed from having a learning space. But before we do, let's bring on the Female Solution Global Network.
Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution.
Okay, so today, today I have my education partner in crime, the crime of education. She's going to be with us, and we're going to talk about a learning space and the psychology of a learning space. Whether your children are homeschooled, they need a learning space. If they go to school, when they come home and have homework, they need a learning space. And there's a psychology in that. And we're going to talk to you about that today. A learning space helps to establish an area that our children need in order to focus. Actually, it's good for you too as the adult. The size of the space doesn't matter, but how your child feels in that space is what's the most important. You can start small or you can start big depending on your budget. If your child is coming home from school to do homework, that learning space is as important as it is if you are homeschooling. A learning space will change as your child grows and develops. You can start with images that they love. Then you can move to bring in blocks and puzzles and other activities, a globe. You can bring in anything actually a little bit at a time. You can change things in and out. And as the child begins to write, add a small table, a desk and chair. If your child is older, definitely give them a table or desk and chair. You might want to have a bookshelf in the learning space. You can do that now or later. Start with a small bookshelf and then expand on it. Start with a few books. Put more books in there as possible, especially if your child is on the screen all day for learning. That is important. We got to minimize that screen time. Take your if you're taking your child on field trips, you can bring in artifacts from the field trip or introduce the field trip in that space. A learning space teaches them how to order things and helps them to take responsibility for keeping it clean and keeping it organized. It helps with self-regulation and is very important to social emotional development. Make sure that there are laptops in there because technology is not going anywhere, or iPads or something. But a dedicated space acts as a psychological anchor. It helps
Yeah,
to improve the focus and motivation and emotional comfort in that space. What say you, Aquila?
Yeah, I definitely, agree with that. And two, a learning space that has been sanctioned and set apart from every other part of the house. For one, it teaches the importance of education. Now your child really gets, wow, this must really be an important thing because it's been set apart, say, from the other parts of the house. Here, in my home, we've been homeschooling now for 3 years now. And so finally, it has taken a minute to soak in that this portion or this part of the living room has been set up as your classroom. So laying ground rules, what you can and cannot do. You can't play in here. You can't eat in here. Da 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 da. And what it does again, it allows them to number one, to develop choices. They get to choose how they want to receive this classroom thing. And either they're going to receive it in such a positive way that you're not gonna worry about them picking up, keeping up. And what I found when I set up the classroom for mine, they started having school, doing play school, pulling out the books and this, and it's all because they had a designated spot. One, because they're homeschool, it reminded them of the classroom at school. And
Mhm.
so automatically, if you looked at the picture, if Michelle pulled that up, then you can see how attentive they are. They're sitting up straight, and I made sure that I give them a new notebook, two pencils, their workbook, and they are eager beaver. Here they are, eager beaver. And as you can see, this is my living room, but I divided the living room in half. And I said, okay, I'm going to take this half over here, and this is going to be strictly for the classroom setting. So when they go in there, they know they're going in there with learning in mind, and that it's not a play area. They have other play areas in which they can play in, but this one is strictly education. And why is that? Because I want them, number one, to revere
Call you back.
the idea of education. And
Text me when you're done. I'll call you back. Text me when you're done. Okay, I love you.
Love you
I
too.
love the fact that they want to learn and they help each other. So it's good. I found those desks at a Catholic charity. They were liquidating this church way somewhere on the north side. And I went over there and I was able to get these desks and some books. Of course, the books are very well outdated, but fundamentals for the most part don't really shift that much. So they serve their purpose, but having them in an environment where they can see separation from home, from living at home, and then you transform into your classroom. They
Mm.
actually put on their uniforms for school.
Oh.
You know. So they need to dress for school, and they get
So
up in
we
the
see it put them in the mindset. It's a
morning.
psychological impact. Like I said earlier, that's the psychological impact. It put them in the mindset for school. And when
Yeah,
they're in the mindset for school, preparing and putting on uniforms and all that's interesting
makes
that
a
they
difference.
did all that on their own.
It makes a difference. And
Yeah.
and then to change the scenery because we have to switch up for them sometimes. I
Hmm.
use the dining room for our group activities. If we're doing something that's group, that's where we go to the dining room table.
Okay.
When I want them to use the documentaries, I want to teach using documentaries and stuff. Then we go to the living room where they have to have always, they must have notebook and pencil with them. Now, although Saida is not as advanced as Mikhail in Memphis, she still has to have pencil and paper in hand. And for her, if she needs to, draw a picture. But I want to know after from watching this, what did you get out of it?
Hmm.
And it makes a big difference for them. But I attest to finding a place in your home that is strictly dedicated to learning,
Okay.
to reading. Yeah.
And so why did you select those posters on the wall? And the
Um,
plants. Why are the plants there?
Okay, for our curriculum really speaks to the whole child theory. And
Mm-hmm.
so we try to cover, I try to make sure that I've covered all the different avenues, roads, detours that has to do with learning. And so with plants, we do composting, but they need to understand the value of plants, and that is there not only for aesthetics, but it's there also to help for breathing, to help you to clean the air and stuff so you can breathe. So that's science. So I have science there. You can see in the real time because they get to get up and they get to touch and they get to identify. Um, I also the world. Our children are never given geography.
Mm-hmm.
They should start geography from kindergarten on. And usually
Mm-hmm.
geography for our kindergarten starts in what's in your neighborhood.
Yeah,
And you teach them, but as they grow, you modify that and
yeah.
you bring it up to grade level. So I have the world map so that they can understand that we're all over the world
Okay.
and that the world is bigger than just Chicago. And then you
Mm.
have the the state map. I have Africa because Africa is the source. Then for the state, for Illinois, you need to know about Illinois. You need to know about United States. And so they'll study the capitals, the name of the states and their capital. Of course, science, they need to understand the body. At a young
Mm-hmm.
age, they need to understand the body as they
Mm-hmm.
begin to transform. So that's why I have science there. And there we keep a lockdown on your assignments. What are your assignments? We write them down so that they'll know what they are. They have to write them down. What do you have
Okay.
to do? And that to give them not only ownership, so that they'll know and I'll know that you understand what's being asked of you.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. I really like that you when you said that when you set up their space of the classroom, how they started playing school and went to put on their old uniforms and
Mhm.
I like that put them in that mindset. That right there proves that there is a psychological impact.
Yeah, and that it also tells you that we're all learning beings.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't
Yeah,
breathe having learned something, if nothing else, that you breathed and made it to the end of the day. That's a
that's
learning
right.
process. So
That's
we are
right.
always in a learning and actually teaching mode as well. And so
Mm-hmm.
to have your home set up in such a way where you can you can flow out of one medium right into the other and
Mm-hmm.
then back again is very valuable for them because it's integrating learning and education into
Yeah,
their everyday processes.
yeah.
They
And
ba-
with your description and this psychological impact that I was talking about, it's obvious that you setting up a learning space created a structured environment
yes.
that fostered feelings of ownership and control. They took control
Yeah.
immediately by
And control
putting
under
on
you. Right.
uniforms and playing school,
Yeah.
even when you were not in the room. And so I
Right.
can see that would enhance their performance in
Mm-hmm.
academics,
Mm-hmm.
and it
It
will
makes
reduce distractions around them because they are focused now. They are in the classroom and
mm-hmm.
they are focused now. I like that.
Yeah, yeah. And two, their curriculum is broad.
Hmm.
That's where the community comes in. You have to, make sure that you develop a relationship with your community. Just like Michelle teaches them, she tutors them with reading and writing. Okay, taking them to the library. They have a library schedule. They have a gym. There's a where they can take gym and swimming for homeschool kids. So when you're putting not only the classroom setting in play, you want to make sure that you have a robust curriculum around them as well, which
Yeah.
again helps with the excitement and, the
Yeah.
technicolor technique of what learning is supposed to be about.
Now, I'm glad you mentioned that I was taking them to the library, and I need to get back to that. I have gotten off of my job, and as part of the village, I need to get back on my job. I will get back on my job. Actually, this is a really good time to get back on my job. I'm at the
Mhm.
end of the semester. I'm going to submit these final grades, so I'll get back on my job at the end of this week. I'm
Awesome.
promising
I
on
heard it, right?
video. I'm
I heard it.
video to the public.
We gonna keep each other on point,
Accountable. And
accountable.
you have to hold your the people that are helping you, your village. We have to hold our village
We have to
accountable.
have it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and we can do
we,
that in a loving way. And you know what I
yeah,
mean?
and we can't do it
So,
alone. And to
but we
Amira,
have to do it.
you can have a fixed income or no income.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that
Yeah.
you homeschool your child. You
Yeah.
take the dining room table, kitchen table is what you got, then you
That's
transform that
what that's what
dining room, that
that's
kitchen
right.
table
That's right.
into your learning space.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
time to eat, move everything out of the way, we eat,
That's right.
um, but this is
That's
our
right.
learning space.
Mhm.
And just to teaching them to just honor the whole idea of
Mhm.
learning. And
And
then
even
it's
a small thing, if you don't have a lot of space and you only have that table, you clear everything that's on the table off, you put the learning materials on, and you can get them in the mindset by simply saying, we're moving this off the table because this is for dinner, or this is for family time, or this
yeah,
is for guests, and that it's time for school now. So we're moving this and we're putting on this. That will
yeah.
also help them get in that mindset.
Yeah, yeah, and it makes a difference. And then too, for our kids, repetition is everything on the world to them.
Mhm.
They respond to repetition better than they do anything else. So
Yes.
they know that and as I don't know if you can't see, but I printed out a schedule for them as well. And they'll go and look at the schedule. Okay, Mondays we got math, we got this and that. But you want to make sure that you are consistent with them.
Actually,
Now,
I saw that on your space. I'm going to pull this space back up. Hold on a second, because I did see that on your wall. So we're
mhm.
going to pull that back up so we can see that calendar. I
and,
can,
and
I
it,
can, I see the calendar that I gave you. That's what's on
yeah,
there.
yeah. And
Yeah, I
then let
see that.
them let them put the homework assignment on the board so you
Mm-hmm.
click they have it. And when it's time to do the homework, tell them to go to the classroom. Go to class and get on your schoolwork. You
There's
know.
your
So, mhm.
calendar right there,
Yeah, it makes a difference, you all. And they
right
buy
there.
in. We need a buy-in from our children.
Hmm.
And
And
because you
those are small things that help the buy-in.
it helps the buy-in. It certainly helps the buy-in. And then you want to be consistent with your time. Like
Hmm.
our day starts very early because they're being trained to be musicians as well. So we do music up front. We deal with prayer or acknowledgement of a higher power, and we talk about that. And then we go and get into our day, and our day opens up with the music. And then they have breakfast, and from breakfast, 8 o'clock, they must be at their desk, ready for class.
Mm.
And then I'm gonna tell
So,
you, it ain't always ideal like that. I'll be honest about that. And so when I know that I'm stretched out or I got something to do, I pull out iExcel. I pull out the laptops and I put them on iExcel or
mhm.
Khan or Prodigy something,
So
D
it's
Excel
interesting that you use the online learning as a supplement,
as a
not
supplement.
as your base.
No,
Why is that? Explain that.
because number one, our kids suffer from the lack of fundamentals. Okay. And when they don't get that fundamental, they cannot move forward in, say, in math, in those operations, or any of it, language arts, because they do not have the fundamentals. So your fundamentals are everything. And so having something like an online, number one, it helps you to set up your schedule so that you got something to guide yourself and make sure that you're on point with them and say, and if I say I can't get to them today because every day I can. I'm not going to sit there and make it sound like I can. But on
Mhm.
those days, you want to make sure that you have something set up. And that's where your online learning comes. I use twinkle.com to pull out assignments for them. And
Okay.
they have assignments that they have to do and turn in. They'll have a
What
file cabinet.
what is twinkle.com?
Twinkle.com is a educational site for graphic organizers, for skill builders. They all are interactive handouts that you
Is it
give.
free?
Um, I think it's free. If it's not free, it's very, very minimal. That's why I
No.
can't remember exactly, but I think it's free. It might be free. But I'm
Okay.
gonna tell y'all, it's worth it. It's not whatever it is, it's not a lot. Or I would remember the lot
Right.
better than little.
You're
So I'm
right.
not sure in that vein, but I'm gonna tell you it's worth it. And so when I know that say I that I can't be there that night, I put together their handouts. Because I may not want you on online because you may not stay online. I may have to come down and check you because you somewhere else that you shouldn't be. So that's where your handouts come in. Okay, so you want to definitely set yourself up in such a way that you can handle whatever situation. Remember situational
Yeah.
parenting?
Parenting. Hmm.
Yeah. And you want to make sure that if this is going on, I got something to counterbalance that, to
Hmm.
balance that out. And they know
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So we're gonna a commercial break, and when we come back, I want you to talk about this situational thing where when you're busy, you use the worksheets, but for and or the online learning, but for your basic education, you are working with them. So we're gonna talk about that after we get back.
Hey, big man.
Literacy is freedom, and we have a literacy crisis. Children should learn to read from pre K to third grade. They should practice reading from fourth to sixth grade, and they should read to learn beginning in seventh grade and continuing through fourth grade. This video is sponsored by Rico Nance and Chemistry Steak and Brunch House in Hyde Park, Chicago.
Okay.
Okay, so we're back, and now we're going to discuss the fact that you use technology and worksheets as a supplement.
Yes. Um, I use technology as a supplement primarily because our kids can so easily be distracted with technology. And if you're not sitting over them, you can bet your dollar that they're going to go somewhere else on technology. They love IXL. They love all of the online learning pieces. But for one, if you don't really balance that out, they get saturated in it. And so they don't really approach it with any authenticity and that's why I try to switch up with them and give them different modalities for learning so that they don't get turned off with the idea of education because they need Technicolor. Our kids are digital natives. They cannot do this in the traditional way that we did. We were strictly black and white, gray, book, no book. And with our children, they are strictly Technicolor and in motion. So learning has to reflect that for them, or they cannot jump in and become a part of the game, play the game. They
Yeah.
can't. So you want to make sure that you're dealing with as many modalities for learning as possible. Okay. Our
And when
children,
you say many modalities, break that down for the parent who is not an
okay.
educator.
Okay, so when we speak on learning modalities, these are the different domains that our children best learn in. Like for me, I know that I am a visual person. I need to see something, I need to hear something, and then I need to write it. So if I'm seeing it, that is one modality. If I'm hearing it, that's one. And if I have to write it, that's kinesthetic. That's motion, in motion. And then those three interdependencies work together to create the learning process. So I need all of that for me.
Yeah.
And you know your children, and you know which one is a visual learner, which
Mhm.
one may be a kinesthetic learner, which one may need more objects or more manipulations in order to
Mhm.
learn stuff. You learn that about your children so that you can make sure that even those who may not need that, it's good that they learn from as many different avenues and views and techniques as possible.
Okay. So learning styles. So what I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to do is in the comments of this video, I will
Mm-hmm.
put a link to a couple of different learning style quizzes that will
Mm-hmm.
help parents who are not sure about the different modalities and who
Mm-hmm.
wants to know which their child learns in. I will send that. I will put that in the comments. And those of you who are listening, you can have your children take the learning style quiz to find out which modality best suits them.
Which best suits. And then too, parent, you want to know what parent style works best with your child. And
Yes.
and you may have a parent style for one child and need a different parent style for this child over here.
Yeah.
This child here you may not be able to articulate the deficits, but you know this child here doesn't learn at the same pace as
Mm-hmm.
this one over here does. And so
Mm-hmm.
you want to know, be sure that you differentiate and not give them both the same and give it to it in the same way or the same materials. You
Okay.
want to find out what works best for each
Okay.
child.
Okay. And
Mhm.
I would also suggest that we got to make sure that our children don't have too much screen time. There is an there is too much. For example, most of the public schools in my area, they don't have books anymore.
The
They
book.
have all of the curriculum online. So if they're in school for 5 or 6 hours a day, and then they're coming home and being online for who knows how long every day, in my opinion, I think that's too much. So parental controls and filters need to
Yeah.
be appropriate. Online education has become the new standard.
Yeah.
It's
And
got its
then
advantages and disadvantages. Use them as you need to, but not all the time. That's why I like the idea, Aquila, of you using online learning as a supplement, not
supplement.
as their base.
It
And
is not the
nobody
base.
can be sure whether all this screen time is harmful or not. And we're getting new studies about how harmful it really is. So we do have to make sure that we monitor the screen time, set
Right.
limits and boundaries. And then again, I know for sure that my eyes were perfect. 2020 vision I had before I started being on a computer all the time. Now guess
Exactly.
what? I
Yeah.
got glasses.
Mm-hmm.
So we do need to monitor that time. And so we need, as parents, you need to be mindful of that.
Right. And while you're monitoring, you want to teach them because we have to teach them what is apropos, what is appropriate, and what is not.
Yeah.
And so with mine, and they'll try to deviate, and that's why I'm there, right there with you because I love IXL. I love them, but they are not the crust of your learning. They are only there as a supplement, as said. I have what we call direct instruction. I
Mhm.
teach you directly. Like if we're going to do language arts, okay, let's do language arts. And fundamentals, you all,
Mhm.
you find that our children are suffering from the lack of fundamentals. You don't
Mhm.
have to be a rocket scientist to teach.
Yeah.
So you want to know you want to know that if you put two colors together, it's going to give you this color.
Mhm.
Fundamentals. Let's
Yeah.
go back and dig out fundamentals. You can go
Mhm.
to Costco's and a whole lot of and you can get workbooks.
Mhm.
The workbooks are excellent.
And that site that you said earlier, what was that?
It's
Twinkle.
called twinkle.com. And
What
on
keeps
that
them there?
site, Yeah. What I use that for, I want to assess where they are. So you can use if
Mhm,
they have a tests for
mhm.
assessments, all from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade,
Yeah.
all the way in every subject, all
Mhm.
five subjects, and
Okay.
then after that. So I will create handouts for them, and that's to break the monotony too. Okay,
Mhm.
that's to switch up on them because you got to always be switching up
Yeah.
learning. You can't get them comfortable in one
Yeah.
place
Yeah.
because the mind will fall asleep on you. So
And
you
so
got
it's ideal if students are online, it's ideal for them to be online no more than 2 hours a day. But in these days, that's not happening. They
yeah,
are on more than 2 hours a day. So if
yeah.
your child is on screen time more than 2 hours a day, and they're being homeschooled, they need a break.
They need a
Give them
break.
a break every hour, every 90 minutes. Give them a 10 or 15-minute break from that screen time on their eyes
And, le-
every 90 minutes.
and let's teach them, because this is something definitely, let's teach them how to integrate that phone into their learning.
Okay.
How to research, words. You don't know how to words like mine. Okay, they don't know a word, look it up. But I'm
Mhm.
right there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give you this and leave because I already know where
Yeah.
you're going with it. So I'm right there to make sure that you're on point and that you're going to stay on point. You
I've
know,
been doing some reading that says that too much screen time interferes with a child's sleep. It interferes definitely with their physical activity, because if they're on the screen so often, then they don't get up and move around, because children need to run, jump, scream, holler, and shout. They need to be able to do that physical
and
activity.
and you want the mind to shut down. It can't shut down if you're on computer time all the time. It
Yeah.
keeps you in retrograde all the time. Their mind is always clicking because it's technicolor. It's
Yeah.
moving. And they're
Yeah.
always here. And so
Hmm.
you definitely want to monitor how much time. And then some days, there are days when they don't get laptops at all. We work strictly from the books,
Hmm.
work strictly from those workbooks. We work strictly from those handouts because I don't want them to feel that all of your learning has to come from a computer. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It does. That's for those who may not, have those kind of resources where they can sit there with the kids. But,
Hmm.
so those handouts, perfect storm. Perfect.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to show just a few examples of learning spaces in people's homes. Some are elaborate and some are very simple. So I'm going to show those in just a moment when we come back. All right, we are back and we're just going to show you several samples of learning spaces.
Hmm. Now, this is such a wonderful space. In my world, it's not realistic. In my world, it's not likely to happen. But if you can do this, fine. That's a good thing.
And I
Um,
would say this probably took some time. I
mhm,
wouldn't say that this parent was able to have this ideal space all at once. She probably started small with that table with the chairs in it, and added
mm,
on to it every week, every month, or every year even. It probably grew to this. And
mm,
yours can too.
mhm. But one thing for sure, you don't need all of that to homeschool. I mean, these are really nice pictures. I love them and give you some ideas how to organize. Now, you need to be organized. And so you may want to look at these pictures and see how can I best organize my setup.
Mhm.
I would think that you want something similar to a file cabinet. If you can't get file cabinet, use crates. Crates are perfect. And you
They
can get
are.
some
They make
file
good
folders,
shelves.
and you can keep each of your kids' information in one of those file folders. Like
Hmm.
see, awesome. I love it. I love it.
This
You
is
don't
more realistic.
This is more realistic here. Like I said, I got my desk from a liquidation. But if you got the money, you can afford to go get the desk.
I like that your space is set up at a window so they can get that sunshine.
Oh yeah. It's
And here are
awesome.
some other spaces. Now this one on the left, this is just a, a folding table and
Mm-hmm.
a folding chair in the
Mm-hmm.
corner of a room.
Mm-hmm.
The one in the middle is a table in front of a bookshelf. You don't know what the rest of that room looks like, but this
Mm-hmm.
is their learning space.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing for the one on the left, a table in a room in your home. It
And see,
doesn't have to be elaborate, but it needs to be, but it doesn't have to be elaborate.
but it has to be clearly defined. Okay, our children need clarity, and they need things to be clearly put into play,
Mhm.
into motion for them to really latch on.
Yeah.
You know, if it's here today, over there tomorrow, they can't latch on. They're not gonna latch. But
Mm-hmm.
if it's consistent and they know that they're going to come and sit at these two desks or three
Mm-hmm.
desks every single day,
Mm-hmm.
they latch on and their mind is prepared to receive because they know that at this particular time, here I am.
Yeah.
Here's where I should be. And
Okay.
you
All
want
right.
you want to hear a response on what she thinks about homeschooling?
Yes.
Hey, come on, get in. Give them your name.
My name is Aida, and I like about homeschool is you learn more. Like I learned like to read, to do multiplication sometimes, and sometimes I like to do Excel, plus
Mhm.
games,
All right. I love it.
and nouns.
I love it. Awesome. Thank you so much, Saida. I
You
love your
are
input.
bye bye.
Bye bye.
Now she's almost 9, and when she started out, when I started homeschooling her, she wasn't reading at all. And now she reads. She has a better understanding of reading. Why? Because I can catch the small nuances. I can catch when something is off with her and be able to stop. Let's work on this, and we stay there till she gets that. And so it's yeah, so it worked. And so for homeschooling, you may not be able to homeschool 24/7, but the moment your kid is out of school, they should understand that the the school really now is in play. When they come home, whether it's you giving them a break, they should have a break, a little 10-minute, we could change clothes or whatever, go to your play clothes. And then, but when it's time to sit down and do the homework, you want them in that classroom setup. You
Yeah.
want them to sit, not lounge in front of
Mm-hmm.
the television
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
you put
because
them in that learning space.
if your child is going to school, you're not homeschooling. When they come home, they may have homework, more than likely. So it is important that they have a break. They
Mhm.
need just a small break,
Brief, right?
and they need to do something physical and get a snack in that small break. And then they need to get to their learning space and they need to do their homework. And the
Mhm.
sooner they do the homework, the more time they'll have in the evening. So after school, um, I know some parents start the homework immediately, and
Mhm.
that's okay. You have to structure your home how you structure your home. But I suggest that they get a small break, 15 minutes or 30 minutes. I would even give them an hour, because I am from the school that children need to play. They
Mhm.
need to have time to play. And I don't mean play on video games. I
Right.
mean
Create,
physical play. You got
which
a
is
backyard, let them
creating.
go in the backyard. You have a park nearby, walk them to the park. Let them play. Children learn by playing, and they got to get that oxygen flowing through their brain by doing that physical activity. And the physical activity helps to reduce their anxiety and
Mhm.
their stress, just like we know that if we are depressed as adults, we need to move around. They
Mhm.
need to do the same thing.
Mhm.
So I suggest a break and then get back to that learning space and get to their homework.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and then by the time they finish their homework, it's dinner time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and with that, I don't have anything else to say about learning spaces. Aquila, you want to wrap this up?
Yeah, I'd like to say for one, to be encouraged, to not be afraid to think that you don't have what it takes to not only just homeschool, but to, when your kid gets home, homeschool.
Hmm.
Because school shouldn't stop in school. That is your supplementary piece when they come home. You want to make sure that now they can learn from what you have to give to them and put on the table. And so I think that definitely a homeschool mentality will work best regardless if your child is homeschool or class or taught in school.
Okay.
I, yeah, and I would say be consistent
Hmm.
and not in terms of giving them too much, and learn how to pace their learning so that it's not overwhelming for them. You know,
Okay.
you got to show up. You got to be
Yeah.
there. You
Yeah.
got
Absolutely. Okay. Peace and love. I'm Michelle Renee, host of Education Nation, live on the Female Solution Global Network every second and fourth Sunday from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. The intention of Education Nation is to raise awareness about the literacy crisis and to offer information to combat the problem. The goal is to awaken an army of reading coaches and mentors. You will experience guests who are doing their part in the community to ensure youth in their circles are reading and thinking critically. I look forward to serving you in this capacity. Literacy is freedom, and Education Nation will offer information and strategies to help ensure our young people stay free.
When you see Black children misbehaving in public, being loud, disrespectful, and destructive, do you think to yourself, what they need is a good beating? That's what's wrong with these parents. They don't know how to discipline their children. Were you disciplined in that way? And did your parents also call you stupid, ignorant, and lazy? That's the way you break a slave. You terrorize them with constant fear of painful punishment. We were broken by parents who were broken, by parents who were broken. It's time to end the cycle of brokenness and bring healing to ourselves and our communities by using knowledge, respect, and love. We'll show you how. I'm Naima Latif. Get the book Slavery, the African American Psychic Trauma. On sale now. Go to www.naimalatif.com.
Great day. It's your girl Asada here to introduce a new female solution show called Asada Says. That's right. Every month we're going to talk about everything I am, from cryptocurrency and financial security to good health and parenting strategies. Come on and talk with me every Tuesday morning from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. And let's do that thing the way Asada says it should be done. See you then. Peace, right here on the Female Solution.
We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, zhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, Ngiabonga. Senegal, Jaref. Kenya, Asante. Israel, Toda. Pakistan, Shukriya. Afghanistan, Tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, Shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.